I have a form of leukemia called ALL. I am 41 years old. I've been a teacher. I teach phys ed in Connecticut for about 20 years now, and a volleyball coach for about the same. I am a family guy. That's always been my number one priority. I have my wife Brianne, who's amazing, and two kids, 10 and 12, Gavin, my son, and Kylie's my daughter. I had passed out while we were on a walk. I was on a walk with my family. I thought I had COVID at the time, and then I went to a doctor, got tested, came back negative. So I passed out on a walk.
So we were walking and he said he didn't feel very well. He said he needed to get to the side of the road. We got pretty much to the curb and he collapsed. His eyes rolled back. I got right next to him to check if he was breathing, and then I quickly whipped out my phone and called 911.
It was hard. I mean, me and my sister, we were crying when it happened. We just saw him pass out.
You know, the ambulance came, and at that point, because of the pandemic, I said to, one of the MS workers, where are you taking him, and am I going to be able to get into the hospital? And they said probably not.
At that point, I went into the hospital, and after about a week's worth of unknown, and it was right at the height of the pandemic, so no one was allowed in the hospital, no visitors or anything. So I was just in this room not knowing what was going on.
I wasn't able to go to the hospital, so it was a lot of FaceTiming and talking to him, a lot of unknowns. And then he called me with the news that they believed that he had leukemia.
We got in touch with someone at Sloan, and they got us in the next day. So I went home the next morning. I got to see my kids for about an hour at my house while I packed a bag and said goodbye to them, not knowing what was next. It was easily one of the hardest moments of my life, was giving them that hug goodbye on the steps. I could remember it, picture perfect, clear as day.
And then I ended up driving him to Sloan, to the urgent care, where I basically dropped him off with a bag, which was really difficult to do. So I got to Sloan and, all sorts of testing for the first few days. And they put me through, I think they call it first induction, where I was in the hospital for about 30 days. And I was, feeling positive. I was using a lot of people that were inspiring me, Desi being a big one, a really, really big one for me. And again, it was during the pandemic. So when I first got in, no visitors. My wife left me at the door shut, and good luck. The nurses there were incredible. And at the end of the first induction, my doctor came in and he said that it didn't really knock the leukemia out of me, the first induction, and that we need to do a more aggressive one. Now I'm in for another 30 days. So I've now seen my kids in the past 38 days for about an hour. The pain of tests and getting chemo and feeling ill and not having strength to do much pales in comparison to the mental side of the battle. And after the second induction, the doctor came in and said, we're going to give you a break. The leukemia has been brought down significantly. You're not there yet, but we're going to give you a break so you can go home and see your family. I remember being scared when I was first getting out that my kids, who I was so excited to see, that they were going to be scared around me. I went from 210 pounds when I first went in to about 150. I had no hair, and so I remember being really worried that they were going to be scared to give me a hug, and they were amazing. I remember I wore a hat at all times at that point. I wasn't that comfortable, myself. I was feeling self-conscious about it a little bit, but more so I was worried that I would look different for them, for their sake. I'd been in the hospital for over 60 days straight, and when I got home, there were signs that my kids made, and they decorated the driveway, Justin Strong, like DezyStrong, and I can remember clear as day hugging them and just craving every second I could get. And I remember laying with my daughter, and I had forgot to put a hat on, and I said,
"Oh, Kai, I'm sorry, do you want me to go get a hat? Does that scare you?" And she's like, "Dad, I don't care about your hair. I'm just happy you're here." I just remember thinking, wow, like that's incredible that this kid had the response immediately that, of course your hair doesn't matter. I'm just happy to have my dad back. And that was a pretty powerful moment for me. And a couple weeks later, I had to go back in for the next round. And from that point on, I had three or four other rounds, and each round was 4-day stays in the hospital, which I could do a 4-day stay, no problem. You're telling me at the end of 4 days, I get to go home and hug my wife and kids again? Done. I'll go right now and get it out of the way. And at the end of the last stint, I got the call saying that my leukemia, that I was in full remission. It was an amazing call. And the next step for me is bone marrow transplant. It's a 100-day process where they really want you kind of isolated. But my mentality was that in 100 days, I'm getting my life back. I'm going to see my kids. And during that time, I'd be able to see them. It would just be very rare. My goal was to be able to be home to see my kids for Christmas morning. So, and the doctor knew that that was a goal of mine and if it was possible. So that was a total surprise. I knocked on the door around 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. I forget the exact time. And their face looked at me like they saw a ghost.
Yeah, we were really surprised. I answered the door and I thought it was my grandma because we knew she was coming over. And we were so happy. Like we didn't expect it. And it was the best Christmas gift ever.
You know, it still has its recovery, still has its bumps in the road. And that is definitely the part that it's so helpful to have support, whether it's your family, friends. And I definitely feel like I have that, and I feel like the DezyStrong Foundation for me, whether, you know, everybody who's a part of it may not know my story or may not even know me, but it just to me feels like a team, and it's a team that's going to have your back no matter what. And when I wear my DezyStrong gear, and I have a ton of it now, no matter where I go, someone else knows it. You know, when I go into Sloan in the city, I always wear something from my Dezi gear. And someone always says, "Oh, I know someone from DezyStrong," or people have told me what the DezyStrong Foundation has done for them. You know, just randomly tell me different things like that. And it's a pretty incredible feeling to be a part of that.